You've been lied to for decades. The American dream, the idea that anyone can achieve success and prosperity through hard work and determination, is dead. It's a myth that has been sold to you by politicians, corporations, and the media for years to keep you complacent and obedient. But the truth is, the system is rigged against you, and your chances of improving your life are incredibly slim. Don't believe me? Well, for millions of Americans, this is the reality they face every day. The American dream is dead. And today, I'll reveal to you guys exactly why. You see, the foundation of the United States was built upon a powerful idea that a person's socioeconomic status shouldn't be determined by their family's past, but rather by their own actions and aspirations. This concept ignited the nation's rise as one of the world's great powers in social, economic, and political realms. The principle itself attracted countless immigrants from all corners of the globe, seeking to escape the limitations imposed by their countries of origin and pursue a better life full of opportunities. But the truth is, while the American dream has been a beacon of hope for generations, it may not be universally applicable. In many other parts of the world, like Asia and Africa, a person's future prospects are often deeply entrenched in the circumstances of their ancestors. This can be attributed to factors such as extreme centralization of power and perpetuation of self-serving agendas by the elite class. As a result, social mobility becomes severely limited, and people find it difficult to break free from the predestined paths laid out by their family histories. Now, Vatsuki Shastri, an insightful author, sheds light on the dynamics of inequality and limited social mobility in developing Asia. He highlights instances where the political and business classes collude, prioritizing their interests over the welfare of the people. In countries like India, major infrastructure projects are awarded to favored business groups, further exacerbating existing inequalities and hindering opportunities from upward mobility. But here's what's interesting. The original vision of the American dream, as articulated by Thomas Jefferson, emphasized the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It proved that every person had the potential to shape their destiny through their efforts. But critics argue that various factors, including increasing income inequality, the influence of special interest groups, and structural barriers, are making it more difficult for many people to achieve the American dream. But wait a minute, what's really eating away the once promising American dream that people from across the world have believed for decades? You see, the prices of things we need every day, like food and housing, they've been going up a lot. But here's what's worse. The inflation rate, which measures the general increase in prices for goods and services, surged from 1.4% in the previous year to a staggering 7%. This was the most significant year-on-year increase since 1950, when inflation reached 8%. Even in 2022, inflation remained stubbornly high at 6.5%, indicating that the cost of living continued to put pressure on people's finances. Housing, a fundamental necessity, has witnessed an alarming surge in prices as well. After COVID-19, housing prices jumped by a record 16.9% in 2021. Making home ownership increasingly unaffordable for many. Such sharp increases in housing costs have far-reaching implications for people and families, particularly for those who achieve the quintessential American dream of owning a home. The median age for home buyers in the U.S. has risen to about 47 years, which is 8 years older than it was before the financial crisis. This delayed ability to buy homes further hampers the accumulation of wealth and financial stability for the younger generation. But the inflationary impact isn't limited to big-ticket items. It permeates even the most basic goods we rely on daily. A great example is the steep 60% increase in egg prices in 2022. Such sharp spikes in food costs can strain household budgets, especially for lower-income families. You might be thinking that, with the rise of the cost of living, wages would also increase to help people keep up with expenses. But in reality, wage growth has remained relatively stagnant, hovering between 5 and 5.5% since the beginning of 2021. This discrepancy between the rising cost of living and limited wage growth places a considerable financial burden on many people. As a consequence of these challenges, a growing number of Americans are turning to credit cards and other forms of debt to manage their expenses. The collective debt held by American households has surged to a massive $11.67 trillion. Yes, you heard that right. This represents a significant 25% increase from the pre-COVID-19 debt levels of $9.31 trillion. While inflation contributes to the debt increase, it's not the sole factor, as wage growth has not kept pace with the rising expenses. Let's face it, guys, the average American has relatively meager savings, with only about $5,300 set aside. This lack of financial buffer leaves many vulnerable to unexpected expenses and financial shocks. So what's the secret to building true wealth in America? Well, here's the thing, guys. We're in a transitionary period, teetering on the edge of a new digital economy. With this, we've witnessed quick, lucrative returns when trading stocks or cryptocurrencies, compared with returns on property ownership. This makes it more effective to chase 10 to 100-time returns in capital markets instead of buying your first home. And although this might seem intuitive on the surface, this really only applies to a certain demographic. Let me explain what I mean by that last point. Because depending on your income level, location, and profession, your best strategy for building wealth in America might vary drastically. Now, if you're a Wall Streeter or a software engineer at a leading technology company in a major city like New York or San Francisco, you probably have a high salary and access to lucrative stock options or bonuses. But you also may face a high cost of living and competitive housing market. Buying a home in these cities may be out of your reach or not worth it compared to investing your money elsewhere. You may be better off renting and putting your extra cash into stocks, crypto, or other assets that's going to generate higher returns in the short term. On the flip side, if you're a modest worker who makes an honest living like the vast majority of Americans, and you live in an affordable city, you may have a lower income but also lower expenses. Buying a home in these cities may be within your reach and worth it compared to other investments. You can use leverage to buy a house with a small down payment and benefit from the long-term appreciation of real estate. You can also deduct your mortgage interest and property taxes from your income taxes, saving you money. You may also invest some of your money into stocks, but you should be more conservative and diversified since you have less room for error. But here's the caveat. While many Americans are feeling the effects of the Federal Reserve's monetary policy, the ultra-rich seem less affected. For instance, Elon Musk, one of the richest people ever, remains incredibly wealthy despite losing $200 billion. At a certain level, having more money doesn't necessarily change their quality of life. You see, in capitalist societies, the rich tend to stay rich because the middle class often supports their ideas and actions. The wealthy own credit card companies that the less fortunate borrow from. And they also control banks that offer minimal interest rates to savers while making huge profits through capital market activities. And that's not all. The rich also have close ties to policymakers, shaping the destiny of the majority in the company through friendships and lobbying efforts. What I'm going to reveal to you guys is going to shock you. The truth is that the American dream as portrayed is not designed to make everyone rich, because equal money would mean equal power. Instead, it is a narrative crafted by a select group of the nation's elite, strategically designed to maintain the status quo. It can act like a carrot on a stick, leading people to believe that hard work and dedication will lead to financial freedom, while in reality, the dream may only be adding more burdens to their lives. The American dream used to be seen as the perfect life. A happily married couple with 2 kids, a beautiful home, and a white picket fence. But the reality today is quite different. Recent numbers show that fewer people are getting married, buying homes, or having children compared to the previous generations. Wealth inequality has also reached an all-time high, and divisions in society are growing. The American dream is a nightmare, following the events we've discussed. Tell us what you think in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Until we meet next time, thank you for watching.